improve my creativity? Have you ever asked yourself the question, how does the brain handle creativity? Can I improve my creativity? Is creativity a myth? What even is creativity? For starters, creativity is subjective. It has many factors ranging from the process, the imagination involved, the originality of the idea. But essentially, I like to think about creativity as the ability to create something that is both innovative and useful. Innovative in the sense that it's unique, it's novel, it's different. Useful in the sense of value. So that could be, is it providing comedic relief? Is it about love? Am I gaining some kind of moral value from this? Think back to a physics class that you had where they talked about the first law of thermodynamics. Energy is neither created or destroyed but can change from one form to another. Yeah, that might seem totally random, but I like to think of creativity in the same light. I think of creativity as energy in the sense that it's always present. It can't be destroyed or created, but it can always change from one form to another depending on what you're being exposed to and how you apply what you're being exposed to. Now see, creativity can morph into different forms based on the application of that creativity, but the end result is always going to be creativity. Now that was a bunch of creativity, but the degree of creativity depends on a lot of the factors that we talked about, the process, the imagination, the originality, and so on. So can you hack creativity? There are different regions of the brain that handle the process or the task of creativity, ranging from the basal ganglia to the hippocampus to the frontal lobe, primarily the frontal lobe because that handles decision making in the brain. Now, a lot of these regions of the brain, if you're not into neuroscience, might sound weird or odd or, again, random. But the purpose of me saying this is to kind of put an end to the myth that one side of the brain handles creativity or art and the other side of the brain handles logic. That myth does not exist because the brain actually works in an interchanging fashion. It tries to create interrelated relationships between these networks or these different parts of the brain to create the creativity that we see evident in art, evident in physics, evident in chemistry, because all of it is creativity. When someone thinks about an idea in science, it comes from the creativity of the application of the different processes to come to a new or novel innovation or invention. So like I said, there are two processes involved. The first one being a default mode network. Now that's facilitated when your brain is in a state of wonder, or what's the word? Daydreaming, where we're just letting our minds think and kind of go in an uncontrolled fashion. But then imagine you have a photo shoot, a video shoot, or a film that you're trying to work on. Your brain essentially is going to activate this network called the executive control network. And what that does is it tries to be cognitively aware of the different ideas that you're trying to come up with and then pick out the ones that actually make sense. So instead of having this randomness, the executive control tries to shuffle through that randomness and pick the one that makes sense. And I like to think of this as like a child in a big playground. So the default mode network works like a child, and it's like in this really big playground, and it's kind of doesn't know where to go. And then the parent, which is the executive control network, kind of comes in and guides the child within this big playground on what to play with and what not to play with. And I brought up the analogy of a child because it's been discovered that when creative people think, their brain kind of operates like a child. There's a lot of randomness, but within that randomness, there's still an executive control that's picking out what is going to make sense and what's not going to make sense. And so our brain has different seeds. And so what we're trying to do is pick out which seed is going to be nurtured and flourish best within different contexts that we're in. So if I'm trying to do a video about love, then I have to start thinking about what idea is unique to love within my context and what story am I trying to tell based on what I'm exposed to. And so my brain is trying to think about the randomness that my default mode network is coming up with, and then my executive control network is trying to modulate that and try and think, okay, this is what makes sense and this is what doesn't make sense. And so having this knowledge is not saying, oh, look at what I know, I'm such a smart person. The idea of having this knowledge is when you understand more of a process, you're going to be able to create more solutions when you have problems within that process. And so this is just an into how the brain works creatively, and I'm just trying to share that.